Hey everybody, welcome to Lunch and Learn number 3 on how to find note deals. Kind of important to find them if you want to do them, actually. That light bulb always throws me off. I always forget. I know it's coming, but I'm just
It makes me excited.
I know, right? It's always I like that sound. That's one of the satisfying sounds for
It
some reason.
is.
As long as it's not my own light bulbs, I suppose. But today we're going to talk about how to find notes.
We are very excited that you are here and you're taking some valuable time out of your day. And today we're just going to share with you lessons and techniques that we have learned over the 30 plus years each of doing the note investing space and how to actually find notes, because all these cool strategies that we shared with you in Lunch and Learn 1 and 2, how do we go out and find those? We kicked off talking about how it's over a $29 billion a year industry, over 138 billion in the last 5 years. So today we're going to talk about how do you find your piece of that pie.
Yeah, we are.
And I love that people are here. We remind everybody that you can ask questions and leave comments, and we will bring them up because we are live and we are here to answer that. So if you have any questions, leave them in the chat and Fred will pull them in. And we've got Michaela in the background helping us out here. So we are super excited. I think we're on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook.
We're all over the place. I don't know. We're all over the place.
Cool, right?
We're all over the place.
Modern technology. So we are going to start out today with really just developing your plan, because people always say, what marketing method is best?
What marketing method is best, Tracy?
And it really depends on 4 factors. And so you might, as you're thinking about marketing for notes, think about this. So the first one is...
Yeah, so the first one is, what is your focus? And so like Tracy said, when we're talking about all the different marketing methods and all the different ways to find notes, they're based on these 4 things. And the first thing is, what is your focus? So are you looking to invest in notes? Are you looking to refer notes, or are you looking for both? And a lot of times, even if you've been in the industry a long time, you're still going to end up doing both because you have some deals that come across your desk. But in the very beginning, it helps to know which one of those you're going to do, because you'll see in a minute when we start breaking down different ways to find notes, why you can take some shortcuts depending on what. So are you investing in notes? You have your own money, you're investing in notes, you're referring notes, or are you looking to do a little bit of both?
The second thing you want to think about are, what are your strengths? So they talk about the old-fashioned SWOT analysis, right? Your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But here we just want you to focus in on your strengths. It's not that we won't encourage you to do something outside your comfort zone at some point for marketing, but to start out, we really think it's good to start somewhere you already have a feeling of strength. Are you great at processes? Are you great at talking to people? Are you good at the numbers? Are you good at networking? So there's a different way to approach the note business, as you'll see today when we go into very specific, that's a hard word today, specifics of finding notes. But think about, what are your strengths, because that's a great place to start when you're thinking about what marketing method might be right for you.
Yep. The next one is budget. And the good news is about the industry is that since there are so many different ways to find notes, your budget and how much you're willing to spend each month to find notes comes into play. Now, the good news is that you can have 0 money for a budget to find notes, and there are marketing methods. And it really comes down to what segues into the next one a little bit. But whatever your budget is, time is the opposite side of that. So if you have money to invest in marketing and take shortcuts, then you don't need as much time. If you have no money, then it's going to take more time. Some of the methods take more time.
Yeah, so there's not a no time, no cost, but there is a blend of time and cost and your strengths and where is your focus. And so when you're developing your plan, all 4 of those things will come into play. How we like to do this next is we also like to look at grading the marketing methods. So we'll give you quite a few of them today, but we also want to talk, each time we talk about a marketing method, we want to grade it based on, again, 4 different factors.
Yeah, so we're going to look at 4 things. We're going to talk about all the different methods, and we're going to talk about how efficient they are and how much time they take,
how much cost is involved, the dollars, and how much competition there will be in that marketing method. So those 4 things will grade them on efficiency, cost, time, and competition.
Yeah, we won't do it in this webinar. We do it with our members, actually, where we actually drill down. We actually give them a grade. We actually, take each of these methods, but we're going to, in the purpose of this one, to go through it a little bit quicker, we're just going to kind of go through all of them. We're going to tell you that, you want to start?
So let's start with the very, I mean, some people go 10, 9, 8. We're just going to start off with the number one marketing method that we have seen over the years, and not just us, but everybody in the note industry. Once a year, we do something called Best of Notes, and we have everybody vote. And Fred had come up with this idea. It's really cool. It's like a best pizza, best burger, like you do locally. So one of the categories that we have people vote on is what's the best marketing method? Which one do they like the most? And they happen to agree with us personally. And the number one method in Best of Notes has always been referrals and networking, particularly professional referrals or other note investors.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this one is that it's everybody's favorite. It may not be what gets the most deals. But it's one of those ones that when you get it, it didn't cost you a lot to get deals. These are people that can send you more than one deal. It's kind of everybody's easiest one to go in there. And the reason is that, referrals and networking, and I'm not talking about networking like you got to do some sort of slick presentation for everybody. Some of it's just going to a real estate meeting and sitting in the back of the room and, hey, I buy notes. It seems like this guy's making a note or this woman's making a note, whatever it might be. It takes time to develop those relationships. So this is one that actually costs basically $0. If you go to one of these meetings, maybe you buy a cup of coffee or maybe you buy lunch at the meeting, but this doesn't cost a lot of money, but it does take time to develop relationships. And we're going to talk about who the different people are to develop relationships with in just a little bit.
One of the things that we suggest is that if you're going to do this approach is that you really niche down. And we've given you here our top 20 referral sources for investing in notes. And we've got a slide we're sharing here with you on the screen. And these are just some of the referral sources. And that's why we talk about niching down. So one of the top referral sources are real estate agents. So real estate agents are involved in the sale of property, and they may know somebody who has sold a property with seller financing, or they may know someone who wants to sell a property with seller financing. When we talked about those three sources of notes, when we talked about in the first how note investing really works and how big is the industry, we talked about seller finance notes being one of the three segments. And so real estate agents would be a good source of seller finance notes.
Good.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And then, of course, mortgage brokers, they might find somebody who cannot qualify for traditional bank loans, or they might know somebody who has sold property and has that on an asset. One of the ones you already mentioned is one of my favorites.
Which was that?
The real estate.
Oh, real estate.
Yeah.
Investor
clubs.
Yeah. So one of the things on this list that you see that, when people say, well, who do I use? Who's a good referral source that can refer me notes? All of these people have one thing in common. They either see people's money or they're involved with other people's money. So real estate agents might help close real estate transactions. Accountants or CPAs might be doing, bookkeeping or taxes or things like that. Lawyers and attorneys are obviously involved. 1031 specialists are involved in real estate transactions, things like that. So these are all people that are either involved in or will see somebody else's money. So they're good ones. So you just recently did an entire funnel on probate attorneys.
So as Fred mentioned, you could focus on real estate attorneys. You could focus on probate attorneys, people who are handling estates. A lot of times a note will end up in an estate as an asset of the estate, and they need to sell that to liquidate it. CPAs and financial planners, oftentimes. It might surprise you that even retirement facilities, that people are going to retirement facility, they might need to sell their asset like a note in order to qualify for assistance for that. So that don't underestimate where you might find a referral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I really do feel like right now, when people are starting out, those real estate investor clubs and other note investors, believe it or not, are really a great place. Real estate investors, tired landlords, all of those you can find at real estate investing clubs. So of all the places to start, oftentimes those real estate investing clubs are one of the best referral sources.
Yeah, I think it's the easiest.
Yeah.
I mean, every major town has some sort of real estate group that gets together. And like I said, they get together once a month. It might be at a Denny's or a Fridays, or they take over the back room of a library, something like that. And there's no pressure. You don't have to go there and make presentations. You can just go there and hang out and learn. And usually it's people that have property and people that want property. And then as you learn more about notes, you can see where you can kind of work yourself into the equation a little bit. So that's the number one, is referrals and networking. If you're a person that doesn't want to go out and doesn't want to mix it with people that way, or you're not a people person, that's okay. There's lots of other ones. Matter of fact, the next one is a complete 360 from referrals and networking, and that would be websites. Websites are a 24/7 work for you online. You can build a website for a very inexpensive amount of money. You look like you look just as credible if you do it right as the company that has 100 employees type thing. And so websites are just kind of those things that people go out. Now the trick is people are going to find your website, right?
Yes, and so we find that some of the other marketing methods will drive traffic to your website, because if you do build a website, you've got to figure out how to get people to your website. So a lot of your other marketing methods will do that. But in this day and age, it's wonderful that we don't have to have a true brick and mortar storefront. There was a time in the note business we felt we did have to have an actual office that people could visit to be legitimate. But fortunately, now in this day and age, it's very common for people or investors to work from home. And so your website is your digital storefront. That is your credibility. And while you can buy a note from someone and not have a website, if you're out actively marketing and you want to refer notes to an investor to earn a referral fee, you're going to want to have a website, because people are going to check you out and feel comfortable doing business with you. And so a website, in addition to being your digital storefront, is there 24/7, as Fred mentioned, to take that information online. And why do people fill things out in the middle of the night?
Well, I mean, it's their need. That's when it's
Yeah.
the most painful, right? I mean, we're surprised when we started a website back in, when did we start websites? 98, 2000?
98.
98, yeah, somewhere in there. The amount of people that it was late, the kids were put to bed and they were, financially trying to figure out how to do something. And so they were getting online and filling out an online form at 10:30 at night or 2 in the morning our time. And obviously nobody was going to be around to answer the phone call at that time. So, it's something that works online 24/7. As I mentioned, though, it's a collateral piece to marketing. Just building a website and having it on there, no one's going to find it. Just you're in a huge amount of people, so it's always going to be something like if you're a direct mail campaign, you're going to put your website on there. If you're referral and networking and you're sending in information to probate attorneys from me or accountants, you're going to put your website on there. So you're always going to refer back to your website as that point of credibility.
And that brings us to another tried and true marketing method in the note business. And that is the one we love to hate, and it is direct mail. Direct mail, as you know, so many as get direct mail, although we seem to get less as years go on. But sure. It actually helps you stand out. But in this day and age, the people that are receiving the direct mail and opening it, a lot of time are our demographic. Now, it's very important to realize you don't just mail a postcard or a letter to the general populace. You really want to target in on that less than 3% that might hold a seller finance note. So the way we do this is you purchase a targeted list of seller finance note holders, someone who owned a piece of property, sold it, and took back a deed of trust or mortgage right there in that recording chain. Fortunately, because things are recorded in the county public records, that information can be obtained. Now, yes, you could go search the county records yourself and pull that information, but it's a lot easier to buy it from a reliable list source for a very inexpensive, it's around 12, 15 cents a name. So the thing with direct mail, though, is it is a numbers game.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is, like Tracy said with the list, is that you say, okay, I want everybody from this state that created a note above this amount. And so now we're targeted in, we're not sending letters or postcards out blind. The downside is it's still a numbers game, because yes, I am mailing it to somebody that has carried back a note. They hopefully still have the note. They may or may not be ready to sell. So it's the constant, like they need to see it 5 or 6 times, to take action. A lot of times we'll send somebody a postcard, they won't even respond. And then a year and a half later, we'll get a phone call. They'll go, I got your postcard. I put it in the file and held on to it in case I ever needed to sell it, type thing. So it's a numbers game because there's very, very low response rate to it. So when we grade things, back to our grading system, this is a good source of notes. However, this is an expensive source of notes. It's going to cost you $1 to mail a letter. It's going to cost you 50 cents to do a postcard. So these are things that are going to cost you money for a lower response rate. So it's a numbers game. You got to send out a lot and consistently send out a lot, and send them another email 3 months later, 4 months later, a postcard or letter, and keep up on it.
Yeah, and we see that the letter we use that we provide in our training gets a pretty decent response rate, about a 2% response rate. The average in the industry is probably 1%. Postcards across the board, they get usually less than 0.5%. Postcards just sort of,
but they're cheaper to mail.
Cheaper to mail.
Yeah.
They're good to stay in front. And then Fred mentioned the cost. We were talking cost of postage, the cost of buying the name, and the cost of the actual paper or letter. But we do find the letters for the first mailing. We recommend that. We kind of have a whole system of you mail a letter, then 3 or 4 months later you mail a postcard, then a postcard. If there's any way that you can target them, following, of course, all the rules for the anti-spam emails, if you can somehow email or do something like that as a follow-up, or give them a free item so that they'll subscribe to your newsletter. Any of those sorts of things really help if you can get some kind of warm inbound lead. That's one of the reasons we like a direct mail, right? Is because when they contact you, it's a warm lead.
Yeah. And they're not often contacting a lot of other people at the same time. The direct mail people aren't. Another method, if you don't have a lot of money, is reverse ad marketing.
Reverse ad marketing is where somebody has put an ad out there saying they will sell property with owner financing, and you are going to respond to that ad, either by calling them or texting or email, depending on how they said to contact them. The good thing about this is it's a great place to start. That you get very comfortable talking to people after you've done this a few times. I mean, the first time, but you're going to kiss a lot of frogs. They may not have a note that they already hold. They may be in the process of creating it, but sometimes they have notes that they already hold. Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you would find people to reverse ad market to?
Yeah, so this is one that you're going to have a script, and you're going to go and you're going to look in the newspaper, and you're going to see somebody that's carrying back a note or selling a property and carrying back a note. I will say that there is a difference between someone that says, so we've all seen the sign for sale by owner will finance. You can certainly call and talk to that person, and what Tracy said earlier about kiss a lot of frogs, that person may not even end up carrying back a note. They're just saying they're willing to, but someone may come by and offer a cash, price offer. So I'm not going to waste a lot of time talking to them, but I am going to at least let them know who I am. So I might say something like, good morning, this is Fred, and I noticed your ad offering property for sale with a possible owner financing. I'm not a real estate agent. That's one thing you want to let them know right out of the gate. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Our company specializes in buying owner finance real estate notes. So I already know that they're kind of willing to carry back a note. Many sellers like payments for cash after closing, but aren't sure what a note buyer is looking for. We find the things that make your note worth more to an investor are the same things that protect you as a seller. So oftentimes we have like a little, 7 tips to protect sellers, things like that, like a little brochure. So I'll say, hey, look, we have a helpful handbook on safe seller financing with 7 tips. I'd like to give it to you free. There's no cost or obligation. Just, is it something you'd like, I can email to you or send you in the mail? And usually they say yes, because they're always curious if they carry back a note, how to do it better. And I'm providing a service. I'm not trying to buy their note right out of the gate. I'm just trying to get the door open, let them know what I do, and offer some valuable information in the process.
Yes. And the great thing about this now is that you could set your Google alerts when somebody lists a property for sale with owner financing. If you have access to the MLS, if you're on Craigslist or Zillow or Redfin or any of those where they have listings, that's a way that you can actually use the internet to find people who are offering property for sale with owner financing. And so we call it reverse ad marketing, because they place the ads and you're marketing to them, even though they're marketing right for somebody to buy their property. Mm-hmm. And you'll find that it gets you comfortable talking about it, and you also can find leads this way. And this is one of the methods that don't cost you dollars; they only cost your time.
Yeah. You want to talk about online ads?
So talk about costing dollars. This is going to be an expensive one as well as direct mail. And that is something like pay-per-click. You've all been on search engines like Google or Bing, and you'll see that when you type in, I want to sell my note, or how to sell my note, or something like that, you'll see ads pop up that are sponsored that people say we buy notes. And so that is a quick way to turn on the funnel, but it is expensive because, it can cost $7, $8 per targeted click. So the key to that is keywords, right?
Yeah. So you're going to have something very specific, like if someone Googles, I want to sell my mortgage note, that would be when your ad would show up. So you're going to have very, very specific things. You don't want to be too general. You want to be as specific possible, because when they click on that ad, you're going to get charged. So which means back to our website, we want to have a good website. We want to have a very specific landing page so that when they land on that page, we can get their email or phone number right away, so we're able to follow up with them. Like Tracy said, you're paying more money. This is probably the most expensive method of how to acquire a lead, but it's also the most targeted. If you do a good job on keywords, you do a good job on negative keywords where you're able to rule out people that you don't want to click through, things like that, you're going to spend more money, but you really want to be on the top of your game a little bit. This isn't where I would start out if I've never talked to anybody on the phone before, because you're paying a little bit more for this. Now, if you have a really, really big budget and you're like, I don't care, I want to give it a shot, I want to cut my teeth on this, hey, knock yourself out. It is, you can regulate your budget though, which is good, because you can say, look, I want to spend $350, $600 a month, whatever it is. You can set your limit. And when you reach your limit on Google Ads or whatever you're using, it will stop running your ad. So that is the very, very good part about it. It's a super quick response. You're constantly going to be tweaking your landing page and things like that. But it is a great source of leads.
And it's also competitive, because when they go out there and search for this, you've done it yourself, you'll see, quite a few pop up. And so it's pretty common that in addition to talking to you or going to your website, they're going to go talk to another company as well. So as Fred mentioned, it's something better once you cut your teeth on some of the other marketing methods, but it definitely works. Now, a lot of you following along, for AI or artificial intelligence, a lot of people are doing their searches through there. So there's a whole sort of strategy now to make sure that your website also gets sometimes included in AI searches as well, because not as many people are searching the old way where the ads show.
Right.
So it's interesting to see where this develops, but it still does work. They're obviously Google's still making tons of money off of paid search ads.
Sure.
Yeah, they're not going away immediately, but it'll be interesting to see what develops. We always are staying up on top of that, because we like to know what's always going to be best for our businesses and all the people that work with us as well.
Yeah, and as of right now, the AI aspect is for information, but not necessarily if you want to sell your note. AI is not trying to buy your note, so you're still going to have an ad pop up right below that AR information phase of it. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Next one would be social media branding. This. So again, if we're grading, this is the lowest one possible as far as outright return. It's tough to quantify going, hey, you're posting on social media, on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, things like that, wherever you may be. When we approach social media branding, it's also good to just keep having your name out there and who you are and what you do. We use programs like Buffer, where we only have to once a week go in there and put in our, load in some posts and go, okay, they're automatically going to go out later in the week, because we don't want to spend a lot of time on social media for a whole lot of reasons. But basically, it's a very, very important part of building your brand. It provides credibility. It certainly works on networking.
It does, and it really supports your other marketing methods and efforts. So for us personally, we found LinkedIn is a very great place for our company, as well as Facebook. And the thing I would really encourage you, if you do post something on there, make sure that you come back and interact and reply to comments and comment on other people's posts. Sometimes I'll get as much interaction and traction off of saying something encouraging and useful on someone else's post. I don't hijack their post, right? You want to say something that adds on and builds on what they said. You're not trying to take their client or post away. But if you have thoughtful conversation and you're in there frequently conversing, then you'll see that there are opportunities to network with other people. We have a LinkedIn Note Investing group and a Facebook Note Investing group. Other people do as well. And if you're curious about the industry, that's always a good place to interact.
Yeah, for sure. If you're somebody that has their own money and you're ready to buy notes, you can certainly try to do this to flip notes, but it's a lot harder, because these are kind of direct sale notes, if you will. There are some note listing sites. So you can go on a note listing site. There's a couple of them out there that are really good that you can go in there. You can look at notes that they have right online that are for sale, and you can vet them. Some of them have paperwork. You can request paperwork. You can request due diligence on it. You're paying retail pricing, right? So you're not finding the seller direct. Somebody's probably already bought this and then tries to resell it online, or so you're going to pay a little bit more, but great place to start out. Great place to start, look at ready to view inventory, resort it by what you want to have, what areas, what LTVs, ITVs, things like that.
Yeah, this is sort of like an MLS multiple listing services to real estate. These websites are like an MLS for notes. So people have notes and they'll list them for sale. And it's a newer thing that's come along in the last few years. And as Fred mentioned, it's great if you are wanting to buy a note, maybe in your retirement account, and you don't want to set up a marketing methods like we've already talked about that take additional time and dollars. So it's and also, as he mentioned, just a great place to just kind of get comfortable with what's out there in the market.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. We actually do it with our members. We do it once a quarter. We actually go on there blind and show them exactly how we sort and what we look for and how we buy them.
It's mixed quality. You have to know what you're looking at. Not every note on there is what I consider viable to our standards.
No, but that's why I like the sorting, right? Because the sorting, you can rule out all the stuff that's unrealistic.
Yeah, and we spend a lot of time with our Note Investing Tools members going through a note. They're like, hey, what do you think of this note? So we'll walk them through how to analyze it and the different steps to take. But it's a great methodology, and it's really, as Fred mentioned, better for investors. And we're glad that has entered our world, and I'm sure it'll just grow as time goes on.
So another one, if you are somebody that owns property or acquiring property, you can create your own notes.
Yeah.
So you could buy, a house and sell it with owner financing. This is when we talk about tired landlords, we're talking a lot about this category where someone has a property, they're ready to sell it, they sell it, and then they carry back a note. So this is a big, landlords becoming lienlords type thing. And maybe this is a big thing that flippers started to discover, particularly in the last 10 years, somewhere obviously before
property flippers.
Property flippers realized that they were leaving money on the table by buying it, wholesale, fixing it up, selling it for a better price, and then they had to move on to the next property, right? There was no residual. And they started to learn probably in the last 10 years, or at least more of them did, that go, wait a minute, I could buy a property, create a note, sell part of that note, get my money back out of it, but still own a piece of the note, and still so I can have money now and cash flow. So they started to learn that a little bit.
Yes, and if you say, well, I don't own property and I don't want to buy property, that's my whole reason for getting into notes, that's okay. The way to work on the strategy is you help people who do own property that are tired landlords figure out how they can convert some of those properties to seller financing. And you'll be first in line to have an option to purchase that note or to refer it to another investor and earn a fee. So this is a very strong piece of our market. And you could use this as a way to network with people who want to create notes if you don't want to create notes yourself on property you own. So this is a very strong segment. We have some people that we work with. This is the only way that they're out marketing for notes, is by not creating their own notes, but working with people who are creating notes. Yeah. So getting in there at the ground floor and working with them on that. So that brings us all around to what method is best. So we've got these methods we talked about today.
So let's talk about the ones first we talked about, referrals and networking, websites, direct mail, reverse ad marketing,
paid online ads, social media branding, note listing sites, and creating notes. All methodologies we have used.
And there's a lot more, but these are the biggest.
These are the biggies.
So which method is the best? We're going to go back to those 4 questions. And we always do this when we're dealing with people and say, hey, I don't know which one to do. We always go through these 4 questions that we start out with. First of all, what's your focus? Are you looking to invest in notes? You have money because you might like the paid online ads. You might want to cut, if you're the end user, you might want to do some direct mail. You might want to do obviously some website, note listing sites. If you're somebody that's referring, then you're going to want to get direct. You're going to want to, if you don't have a budget, then you're going to do reverse ad marketing.
Yeah, and what's your time availability? Some people do this as a side investment, and they have a W-2 full-time job. Some people want to come in and do most of their time doing this, so time availability will that too. And so if you have questions or concerns on that, or just curious, we always do a lot of work with our members on structuring out what's the best marketing plan for them based on these 4 different things.
Yeah, a couple questions that came up while we were going through this. One person said, when you're doing reverse ad marketing, do you ask them if they're interested? Do you ask them for a list of notes you can underwrite? I'm very soft in the beginning on that, but if they're interested in saying, yeah, I'm selling this property, but I do have some other notes, then I'm gonna say, hey, are you interested in selling them? I can certainly take a look. There's no obligation to get a price for it. So I don't come in hot without them giving some indication they already have notes. Remember when we went over the numbers the other day, most buyers, it's their only note they've created. If someone has a sign that says, owner financing, there's a good chance they might have actually done another note. But yeah, I mean, if they say that, I wouldn't use the word underwrite. We tend not to use any language that is our language or scary or things like that. So we just say, hey, if you've got any other notes, I can look and see how much I might be able to pay for them. I can find out the fair market value of what those notes are should you decide to liquidate them today for a lump sum of cash, things like that. So that would be something that I would do on that. Someone said, what did Fred mean by monthly blind? Sounds worthwhile. I don't know. What did Fred mean? I'm assuming you're talking about when I said that we quarterly go through with members, like, the listing services, and we do it blind. I think I probably said that. And what I meant by that is that we don't know in advance what deals are out there. We do it in real time with our members, and they see us, and we go in blind. We just go, okay. It's Tracy's least favorite, but she's warmed up to it because it was like there's no preparing on our side. But
I'm a prepare head kind of now.
But we have a specific set. So when people say, well, how long does it take to evaluate a note? We can decide whether we want to move forward and make sure that the paperwork matches the deal in probably less than 3 minutes, because we're looking at, what type of property is it? Is it a single family residence? Is it commercial? How much equity is in the property? How much did they put down? What is the note written at? Where is it located? So we basically have a chart of how many are there? There are 10? How many things do we go through? I can't remember.
We have a top level analysis.
Right.
And then we have a more deeper analysis with a checklist.
Yeah. So when we go in blind, we just go, hey, we just go through that checklist for us and go, okay, yeah, we're interested in moving forward, or we're not interested in moving forward.
Excellent.
That was it. That's all I had.
That's good.
Some people said they were members of different real estate groups and stuff, which is great. Those are all good sources of notes.
Yes, those real estate groups are a great place to get your feet wet. And, they are so valuable. And we've spoke at a number of real estate groups over the years, or just networked at them. And what you'll find is that it's really, they're used to hearing about real estate property investors. So they're really excited about having you be there to talk about notes. Mm-hmm. Notes have been really good to us for the last 30 years. And it's why we so much enjoy sharing with you guys what's worked for us, what hasn't, and do a collaboration. As you recall from the 4 main ways to make money with notes, you can refer notes to another investor to earn a fee, which is money now. Right? You can buy a note for interest income, either inside or outside a retirement account. You can buy a full, like we just mentioned, and you can buy a partial, or our favorite one,
buy a full, sell a partial.
Yes. And if you missed any of those 4 main ways to make money with notes, we've got the recordings available for this Lunch and Learn for a limited time. And so we encourage you to go back and watch those. Our next Lunch and Learn session, number 4, is coming up next Thursday, and that is going to be on.
It's actually this Thursday, and
this Thursday.
It is
I
going
was thinking,
to be.
Sorry, this Thursday.
I'm always confused by that, because people say the next
Thursday,
and it is the next Thursday, but then some people say, oh, it's not next Thursday, it's this Thursday.
It's on Thursday.
It's 2 days from now. Basically, we're going to go over some case studies. Hey, everybody loves deals. We're going to go over some more deals. I saw some comments in the chat, people asking about the membership. Yeah, we'll I mean, it's not a secret. We open up the doors to the membership twice a year. There's no obligation. We're going to show you what it is. We'll open up the doors on Thursday, and you can certainly ask questions about it if you want then. But we open up the doors, like I said, twice a year. If you find that, hopefully get enough out of Lunch and Learn to decide whether this industry is right for you, or is a side hustle for you, or a way to invest, safely in real estate without having all the headaches, we'll be here. So, but watch the replays, like Tracy said. Join us Thursday, because we're going to go over some case studies to show you exactly how much.
We haven't shared with you guys.
Yeah, these are all deals that show you exactly how much money and how it's structured and what it ends up being.
I think we tried to get a referral. We tried to get one we bought in our IRA. We tried to get one where we did a hypothecation versus a partial.
I think we have 2 referrals.
I think another referral.
Another referral. So
you'll enjoy this. There's some good stuff in there.
Yeah. Absolutely. So thanks everybody for joining us for the Lunch and Learn. We're excited. We'll see you on Thursday, or next Thursday, but it's this coming Thursday. However you look at it.
Until then, your email.
Until then,
happy note investing.